Oh, my beloved, these are some crazy days we find ourselves living in. These COVID times, these shelter-in-place times, these mask mandate times. Wherever you fall in how you feel about, the mandates and the not mandates, and, whether you think the government is doing a good job or not doing a good job, or all of those things, all of the social inequities that are no longer on the back burner, as they have been most of my lifetime, all the things that are in our face right now, all the news headlines, all of the poverty that seems to be just rising and rising, that cannot be ignored in our neighborhoods, on our streets. Beloved, how are you doing with all of that? And did you know God is in it all? The divine, the good, Allah, Mother, Father, God, the universe, the absolute. If you and I believe that there is only one, and the one is a holy, blessed one, and it is omnipresent, omniscient, then we have to believe that even in all of the social injustice, even in all of the polarization and politics and policy, God is there, Spirit is there, the good is there. And how do we embody that? How do we bring practical spirituality to society, to politics, to poverty, to racism and homophobia and genderism and all of the things? Well, we do it the same way we do it in every other area of our life. We go first to the wisdom, to the good that lives right where we are. And one of the resources that I turned to recently is I went back and watched a Zoom conversation with Reverend Jane Midgley and Reverend Masando Hiroka. And the three of us got on Zoom last year and talked about how spiritual practice can support us in crazy ass times. And oh man, it was such a good conversation. And I wanted to go get some of the juicy bits and bring them to you today, because it's a perfect how-to for how to embody justice. How to embody justice from a spiritually grounded, spiritually true place. What to do when the news have got you spinning. What to do when a family member says some stuff that you're like, I can't even believe you think that. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about how and why we would embody spiritual principle at the very same time embodying justice, because they are not different things. They are one and the same, just like the Holy Blessed One.
Like, why are you committing to your own spiritual practice and trying to stay connected to what you know to be true in these times?
To me, like, spiritual practice is not like a choice.
Right?
Like, I would be an insane person without it these days. Like, the tool of just mindfulness practice and coming back to the breath and watching myself has been so necessary, because so much stuff is just coming up, right? And to me, like, without that, like, I would be a mess. I would be a wreck all of the time. And so my spiritual practice is the thing that allows me both just to come back to the present moment, but also to realize deeper truths, and also just like helps me stay present to what is without having to run away or push it away, without having to avoid or spiritual bypass my way out of it either. It just helps me be fully present to what is. And I think by doing so, that's when our spiritual life, we can really access a deeper aspect of who we are. Is when we're just present to ourselves and to what is. So for me, it's not a choice.
Me either, Masana, me either.
Yeah.
Right?
And
One of our members said that if they were not practicing, they might be institutionalized right now.
I mean, 100%.
as I'm such a doer and running around so much before all of this happened. And so I have been going deeper just by the need to become more of a being. We are human beings, so hopefully I can let that expand, and I have been. And what's happened is my heart is opening and softening. And this has been so powerful. So I'll find myself just sometimes sobbing over this unbelievable human drama that is unfolding for this entire world. And it'll sometimes go on longer than I'm used to crying or grieving. And then I can come back to a more grounded place and understand that it's not always easy, right, to feel that. And yet I think this is such a great opportunity. What a gift of awakening for me. And I've been reflecting on this because I'm working with a group at our spiritual center to look at how racism affects us personally. And what I've noticed is so many just wrenching personal stories of what happened to people when they were children and were told they had to be separated from people of color. And the shutdown that happened to people's hearts at that time. And not just your hearts, but your eyes. So you were not supposed to see what you saw. You were not supposed to feel what you felt. And so now people are opening to this who have been a part of this white system, and that softening is happening, and wow, right? It's so powerful, and yet it's a tender place for so many people. And I love this idea of the sweet spot, because the danger right now is that people could just flip over into the anger, right, and the fixing. And so this is why I think the spiritual practice is so key for everyone. But I just want to, do a shout out to the white people who are listening, because then we can act from that place that doesn't have to be in either of those places, which is basically being a human being.
Absolutely, because one of the things that I'm finding, and it's so true, Masando, and what is rising in me right now is so loud at times, because I don't have all the distractions, because I'm a doer as well, Jane. Sitting still, other than in my scheduled stillness times, right, is not usually how I roll. So the amount of stillness I'm experiencing is made room for these stories, the stories that I inherited, the stories that were given to me in my childhood, these stories that I have made my own about who I am and what is wrong with me and what needs to be fixed. And then all the stories of what is wrong collectively, right? What's wrong with humans? What's wrong with society? What's wrong with white people? What's wrong with all the brown people? And all those stories are loud right now. And the only thing I know to do is to be able to access that centered place so that I can observe them. And so that I can go, whoa, I didn't even know that story was rolling around in me. Or, I didn't even know that this idea that, I'm not good enough is still so prevalent in my own being and consciousness. And yet as it rises, I have a choice. I have a choice to be with it and take the gifts it's trying to offer me so that I can become more aware of what is actually true about my wholeness, about humanity, about life itself.
Reverend Amani Malaika here. Just a quick reminder that you can be a part of this mission, Love in Action, Transforming Lives, Transforming Communities, by simply texting to give. It's an easy way to send a contribution to the work we're doing, transforming lives across the globe through our online reach.
What I know about suffering is that it's a choice. And I think sometimes that comes off as harsh or some spiritual weird saying, that pain is going to happen. Suffering is a choice. And the reason why I believe that to be true is because our lived spirituality gives us a choice. When we go first to that wisdom within, to that peace within, to that harmony within, to that joy within, and allow that to give us a lens to look at circumstances through, and give us a perspective to approach situations with, suffering doesn't have to occur. Might be painful as hell. Might hurt really bad, might enrage us. But the suffering, the spinning and the loss of hope, that's all a choice. And it is our spiritual practice. It's our ability to keep returning to that centered place. There's a practice I've been doing recently because I find myself in times getting trapped in these ridiculous thought loops. And it happens when I'm tired. It happens when I'm overscheduled. And so one of the ways that I've begun to be in practice during this time where I find myself overscheduled and tired is every time I hear myself saying, I am blah, 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 blah. I am tired. I am exhausted. I am overworked. I am impatient. All of the blah, blahs, the I ams that I find myself beginning to attach to in my own mind, I've started a practice where I stop myself at the I am. I am, that's right, I am. I am. And I have found some days I have to do that practice the first thing in the morning. This mind of mine wants to just all these things that are not the truth. They might be feelings, they might be circumstances, but I just get to keep coming back to I am. God is and I am.
Our spiritual life gets to be re-examined right now. Like, were we going to church just because it was a fun place to hang out with friends? Or is there something deeper that we were called to by being a part of the spiritual community that is being ignited right now and that is being deepened right now?
One of the things that has changed so much is what's available to us to do in person, right? Like, so much has changed about where we go and who we spend time with and what's available in person. And many of you have come to me and said, I need this in-person connection, and I hear you. We are meant to connect. We are meant to be in relationship. That I know for sure. If that hasn't risen to the surface in such clarity during this time. But I think how we do that has changed significantly, in the ways we get connected and the ways we feel connected. And one of the things that I think we have to wrestle with in practical spirituality, in living a spiritual life and spiritual living, is really taking an honest look at what we say our spiritual values are, our spiritual beliefs are, and then what we do. And are they in alignment? You know, Reverend Masando in our conversation asked, like, why did we go to church on Sundays in the past? What were we there for? And why do we long for connection and spiritual community now? What are we trying to get met? Is it a place to come together with folks who've also said a yes to love and action and transformation individually and collectively? Do we want to gather with other folks who have said a yes to doing that deeper work? Do we want to join activities wherever in our life? Be in relationships, be in work, be in conversations that are in alignment with what we say we believe. So if we believe in oneness, and we believe that all is part of this holy, blessed one, then there can be no polarization. And are our actions and our language and our words matching our spiritual values and beliefs? And only you know the answer to that. Only you can discern whether or not your choices are in alignment with your spiritual beliefs and values. And that is your work to do. That is part of transformation, is getting more and more and more in alignment with the truth of who we are.
A lot of people say to me, spiritual practice, it sounds overwhelming. They feel like they're not doing it right. Well, mine changed in the last year, and they think there's something wrong with that. I'm like, that's fantastic, great. And so I think we kind of need to redefine it and be like it, especially the word meditation, I think, for a lot of people. And it feels very prescriptive. And so I think we should just bust that wide open and be like, if you lie in your bed and breathe deeply into your stomach, you're relaxing your body and you can feel life. That's spiritual practice. You go for a walk and you say, thank you, thank you, thank you for this beauty. That's spiritual practice. And I was reminded that affirmative prayer, the way our founder Ernest Holmes used to talk about it, he said it's got to be embodied. It isn't a head thing. And this is one of, like I'm talking about, you know, this emotional shutdown that can happen and has happened for a lot of people in the past, which I think is coming unglued now, which is a good thing. But it does, you know, it's we have to feel it, heart, mind, soul, body. And in order to do that, we have to have a practice that helps us do that. So if sitting quietly doesn't do it, dance, sing. It's whatever makes you able to connect with the, you know, that knowing of, you know, what some people call those qualities of spirit that we all have within us. And Ralph Waldo Emerson, who's one of my heroes as one of our spiritual ancestors, but he was very outspoken about the material things happening in his world at the time. And he said, if we can't have freedom for everyone, we're not going to have freedom. And he's standing in that knowing of that template of freedom that's coming straight through from spirit through him. And once you stand in that, you're like, of course everyone has to be free. There's no doubt. But then the minute you get unbalanced, you can forget that and be like, I'm totally overwhelmed by the fact that some people aren't free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
why spiritual practice at all? You know, I think sometimes we get stuck thinking the practice is the thing that makes us good spiritual people. So I have a strong daily practice. I meditate for an hour every day, and I pray at morning, at meals, at bedtime, you know, whatever your practices are. I go to the dances. You know, I sit in Sangha at the meditation center. Whatever your practices are, beautiful. Please do the practices. But the practices are a method for spiritual living. The practices are methods for us to be embodiments of spiritual principle. So embodying justice, really, to me, what that means, it means embodying truth. When we are the embodiments of oneness, we are a stand for justice for all. When we are embodiments of unity, we are a stand for I'm not free until you're free. They are not different things. So the practices we engage in, and you're going to have an opportunity to hear from Reverend Jane Masando and I, several different practices you can use right now to embody justice, to embody spiritual truth, to deal with the realities of this society and culture we are living in together in this moment in time. But remember, these practices are for the purpose for you to be a living embodiment of truth and wisdom and liberation and freedom and justice for all.
I wanted to just say, you know, what other kinds of practices are serving you right now?
Yeah, I think the one for emotions is this practice of making room. Just this ability to make room for whatever is arising, to make room for whatever is disturbing, make room for whatever is infuriating. Because anytime we're responding to something that's happening outside of us or within, I think the natural tendency is to want to push it away if it's uncomfortable or hoard it if it's pleasurable, right? And the fact is I love the way that Pema Chodron talks about it. It's like we can endure a lot of pain and a lot of pleasure. I like the idea of enduring pleasure, but we can endure a lot of pain and pleasure just for the sake of finding out who we are and what this world is, how we tick and how the world ticks. I like taking part in envisioning too. I think what's also really important these days, at least for me, is also in the midst of so much uncertainty to still have like a vision for what's possible.
Yes, amen.
To still have a vision for what can be, both individually and collectively. And so I love the simple visioning practice, but I actually don't start with the vision. I start with asking myself the question, okay, in this moment, through all of these things I've been learning about myself, like, what do I need to let go of? Like, what old story about myself? What pattern of behavior? What collectively old systems and structures? What really just needs to be, what really just needs to be like let go of? Maybe like hospice, a little hospice work of honor, whatever that is for you. And then from that space, right? Like from really recognizing these things I can let go of. Okay, when that room is created, then what can I more fully embrace? Right? Like what does that free me up to more fully embrace? And with that, then what can be possible? So that's my like little visioning, which is different than the normal 5 steps, but
yeah, I love it. What can we let go of?
Yeah.
What, sometimes the question for me is what's in the way?
Yeah, what's in the way?
What's in the way?
What's in the way right now?
And And when I let go of that, and when I make room because I've let go, what am I bringing in? What am I bringing forward and welcoming?
Yep.
I love
That's
it.
the out breath and then the in breath.
Yes.
And then like with that new life that has been infused, what's possible? What is now possible?
Think, how did other people who went through this kind of political thing that's going on right now in other countries, how have they gotten through this, right? And trying to learn from other humans. And I'm in a Buddhism class for ministerial school, and this person who's done some translating for the Dalai Lama told this great story about witnessing the Dalai Lama, who doesn't harbor anger toward the Chinese, even though they have oppressed the Tibetans. And when people come in exile from Tibet to where he is, he meets with virtually all of them, which is incredible. And he sits there and they tell him a really hard, sad story, and he cries with them. He's fully heart connected with them and he cries. But he didn't have to do anything to attract those people. They show up, life shows up what needs attention. He cries with them, feels it fully, and then he says to himself, is there something I or my people can do to help this person concretely? And then if there is, they do it. And then he goes back to that place of equanimity. And I just thought, what a great, what shows up in front of you. And that's what I'm finding. Some people are just freaking out right now. They're going to that, once again, the shutdown place because they feel like they have to do something big. And I say, just what's right in front of you? And it might be, oh, I need to talk to my family about that racist remark. And I'm like, you got it. So go forth and we'll support you if you need support. And that is the thing. Life will bring it to you. And then you show up with your heart open, your mind open, and then you do what you can. And then you got to do your practice again so you're ready for the next thing that life presents.
So I have had my own sort of journey with confessionals.
Okay.
I have noticed that there's something in me that is like on a day-to-day basis, like needs to just get right with myself, get right with God, get right with the world. And then I will notice when something is off. Like I will notice when there's something in me and it's like, oh, I need to go clear that. Or, oh, I need to go apologize. Or,
what?
Oh,
I love this idea. How do you know that? What happens in you that tells you like,
like, ooh. I mean, I feel it in my body. I feel it right here, like right behind my heart, and like right in my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just because I've been more attuned to it, because I'm like, what is that? Like, why does it feel weird right now?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, our dog is barking. But there's something in me that needs to release that, right? That needs to free up whatever that thing is that's in me that's doing that. And so, yeah, for me, it's Zola. I think she's barking at a squirrel.
What's her name?
Zola. That's actually my parents' dog. That we have been hanging out with basically since the pandemic began.
Hi, Zola.
But she's an amazing presence too, because she knows when things are off. Cats, dogs, like they know when something's off in you. Like they'll come and let you know and give you the snuggles, right?
Totally.
Like we all have this. For me, I feel it. Right. And then when I investigate it, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling anxious about talking to this person because I didn't I wasn't in integrity about something that we had agreed to. Right. I have some tension around showing up to this particular space because I need to get right about something that I said, months ago that maybe have been misperceived, right? Like, so for me, it's this confessional of like, just recognizing when I know I'm out of integrity in whatever way and confessing that first to myself.
That's so good, Masondo. That's so good.
Maybe to another human being, but then going and making it right. And that I find I'm having to do more. Maybe I'm just like messing up more, or maybe I just am more aware of it. But to me, like, I think we don't have the time or space to hold on to that stuff right now.
Oh,
right?
you say that 5 times. We do not have the time or the space. My really dear friend Bunny always is saying, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. Now more than ever, right? Now is not the time for that little thing to be tripping you up.
So,
And you can clear it.
You can clear it.
You can clear it. You can let it go. You can free that.
yeah.
I love it.